If your goal is to be successful in it and be engaged and be a real estate agent and be an investor and you going out there finding properties and you going out there being a wholesaler, yes, you gotta like it.
Welcome to Multifamily Insights. I'm your host, John Casman, and I want to thank you for joining us for another great episode. Listen, if you're enjoying this show, do me one quick favor, leave us that rating and review. I'd love to hear what's working for you, but also to get any feedback on what we can do to make the show work a little bit harder. And if you haven't done so already, for some odd reason, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Maybe this is your first time listening, but it's a great time to subscribe today. Listen, we've got a really good episode today. We're going to be talking to my guy, Aziz Shabazz. The real estate landscape is changing, and you need to be prepared to take advantage of the emerging opportunities. That's why you should join me and other top real estate investors for the Midwest Real Estate Networking Summit, May 6th and 7th in Chicago. Now, you want to build the connections and partnerships that will help you scale your portfolio. Guest speakers include Jay Papasan, author of the #1 best-selling book, The One Thing; Ray Higdon, network marketing expert and author of Freakishly Effective Leadership for Network Marketers; and Tarl Yarber, Bigger Pockets contributor and the CEO of Fixated Real Estate. Now, join us for the Midwest Real Estate Networking Summit on May 6th and 7th in Chicago. Tickets are available right now at MidwestRESummit.com. Use promo code PODCAST to save on your ticket today. Again, go to MidwestRESummit.com and use promo code PODCAST to save on your ticket. Aziz Shabazz is a highly sought, top producing realtor, personal and business financial coach in the Chicagoland area. Now, he has been in real estate for almost 2 decades and a licensed realtor for over 8 years. Now, he leads a 30-plus agent real estate team, and he owns multiple rental units and operates a financial consultation business. Let's welcome to the show, Aziz Shabazz.
Hey John, nice to connect with you. It's great having being here and having me on your show, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, I went over your bio at a very high level. Why don't you take 2 minutes and fill in some of those gaps?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in, like I said, in real estate for about 18 years, almost 2 decades. I originally started with a buy and hold for myself, because one thing I wanted to do was decrease my cost of living. That was very important to me. So my first property was not an investment property. I mean, it was not a single family home. It was an investment property. And the reason why I did that is because I knew it would be more difficult for me to go and then buy an investment property as my second property if I had bought a primary residence, a single family home, as my first property. I kind of knew what lenders were looking for. I started doing my research and things like that, asking questions. And, I knew that there was an opportunity where I could possibly buy a second property using FHA and then go 3.5% down again. And then when I bought the game was a little bit different as well. You could walk away with a lot of money at the closing table. Now they kind of restrict that, but we were doing deals where you could walk away with 15, 20K, at the closing table for, repair credits. And it wasn't an issue. But then when the market crashed in 2008, all of that kind of changed. So I was able to buy my first property. I lived in one unit. I rented out the other unit. One thing that I did, because I know this is a kind of based around investing, so I throw some little investing things in there as well too. One thing that I focused on when I bought my 2 unit was I wanted to make sure that the basement had sufficient height because I figured before I even bought my second property, I would rent, I would live in one, I would rent one, and then also I would end up turning that basement unit into an apartment, right? So I figured what would be easier to go and buy a whole new property or to maybe take some equity out, maybe get a personal loan. And then reinvest that back into the existing property and then make another rental unit out of it. So I did that first, which I guess would be kind of a hack. So I did that first before I wouldn't buy a property if I couldn't walk through the basement without ducking. Right. That was my thing. So um and then after that, so I rehabbed that basement unit. and then start renting that one out. And then I went and bought a second property um, using FHA again, 3.5% down, because if you don't use FHA, then you going into an investment property, you got to put 20% down. So I was able to go FHA again, 3.5% down, and bought that one really cheap because it was like the market was almost at the bottom at that point. And I went and bought another 2 unit. I still didn't buy a single family home. And then the goal was to finish that basement as well, and then rent that out. That one never happened. I ended up selling that property before I did that as well. But then got into some fix and flips as well. And then I just kind of working the business, but still working a 9 to 5 job. And you know, eventually I got my real estate license. And the reason why I did that is because I had got really good at my 9 to 5. And I was like, okay, I need a challenge. I need something else like to do. I could do this like with my eyes closed, one hand tied behind the back. So I wanted to sell two of my properties at the time. And I figured, you know what? I sell them myself versus hiring a real estate agent to do them. If I close a couple deals in a year, that would be great. And then I ended up doing very well my first year. I ended up selling like 7 homes before I even sold my own property. And then I ended up selling like 17 homes that entire first year. So I did really well in that. And then I did it again in the second year, 24 homes. And then I went full time into real estate as a real estate agent and bought some more properties, as well. And, I didn't even go into multi units. I actually went, because I had multi units, I actually went the other way. I actually went into some single family townhomes, actually. I like multi units, but you got to buy the right multi units. I like single family and attached properties, but you got to buy the right ones, right? So I kind of did a little bit different, but yeah, and started my own brokerage, started building a team, and always looking to work smarter, not harder, and just kind of leverage up and then show other individuals how to do it as well so you can create the duplication within your team and within your organization. The model that we have, everyone can be at the top. Everyone can actually win. It doesn't just have to be one person at the mountaintop. Everybody can actually, we create a culture and organization where it's conducive for everyone to succeed, not for individuals to just play a role. Right.
Yeah,
So
Aziz, you gave some really good insights on your background, right? Just to recap some of that. So you started investing yourself, man, with the house hack strategy, buying a duplex, living in one unit, renting out the other unit. That's exactly how we started. And I tell everyone all the time, if you want to get started in real estate, I think that is one of the most effective strategies you can use. Why? Because you can get in with as little as 3.5% down. So you're talking about, I don't know the property in particular. Actually, tell us how much did you pay for that first property, if you don't mind?
that first property, so I bought that at the top of the market. So there's another story behind that as
Okay.
well. So I bought that at the top of the market. It was like 230 something, I want to say,
Okay.
right? And which was expensive at that time. It was like top of the market,
But
right?
230 at 3.5% down is still like less than 10K out of your pocket. And then you mentioned you were probably able to get some credits at closing.
Well, yeah,
So
I actually I spent no money. So I brought no money to closing. I got down payment assistance, 100% financing at the time. I got I got 16,000 back to buy that house. Like
so to
I
be
didn't
clear,
bring any money.
you made $16,000 buying a house.
Yeah, I made it, but I put it into the house. But I could have
Right.
not. Could I have not put that into the house? Yeah. So I
But
probably
to be clear, you bought a house. You didn't put any money out of your pocket. They gave you, or you made $16,000. You like the
yeah.
net when you walked away, when you had that title, was you got $16,000 was the
Yeah,
net
yeah, they
kind of
gave me a
profit.
check for 16,000 to
That's
buy the house.
incredible. So when
Yeah,
we talk
yeah.
about these strategies, and again, some of that's gonna be hard to duplicate today, but I just think it's incredible that you got paid for your first investment. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. That's a really incredible way to think about this. And to your point, I think a lot of people assume, oh, I got to put 20% down, I got to save up. And maybe that's where you just don't get started because you're waiting to save up 20%. Well, 20% on a $230,000 deal, now you're talking about $46,000. So maybe you're not in a position to invest $46,000. So you're saving, you're saving, you're saving. You bought a $230,000 deal and got paid $16,000 to do so.
Yeah.
I just think that's incredible when you start to frame up, the creativity that you can get into on some of these deals. But just to recap some of the other things you said real quick, that you obviously realize, hey, there's something here. I love that you had a value add approach. You went into that basement and said, I'm going to convert this into another rental unit. So you took a 2-unit building, made it a 3-unit building, and then you went to try to replicate that again, decided not to do that basement, but you still bought that other property. And then you started to expand. And there's a point I want to come back to where you talked about that transition, right? You had your day job, you had your W-2, kind of getting bored with that. So you went into real estate as an agent, did really well there, selling a lot of properties that first year, really expanding that in year 2, and eventually going to build out your own brokerage. So I think there are a lot of things that we can take away from that discussion. And I want to come to that kind of inflection point with the job, because many of our listeners, part of the reason you want to get into real estate, part of the reason you want passive income is to take your time back, to get that time flexibility, that time freedom. And we know real estate is a powerful tool to do that. And the question I get often is, hey, I want to get into real estate. I want to be an investor. Do you think I should get my real estate license? How do you respond to that question?
Yeah, you shouldn't get into real estate or any business, I would say, just for money. You should really look at the business to see if it's something that you like and enjoy doing. So people have been telling me to get into real estate for years. You should be a realtor. You should be a realtor. And I was like, no, I'm cool. I just like doing my own thing. I was like, I don't want to pick anybody up, put them in my car and drive them around. It's like, I'm not really, at that point, I was like, I'm not really a people person, any of that, right? Um, Really, I'm probably in the 8 years that I've been in real estate, when I finally started to decide to get into it, I probably only had somebody in my car like 2 or 3 times. So that was like a myth that I wish somebody had a busted for me a whole lot earlier. I wish I should have gotten real estate earlier. But see, I like real estate. I like the idea of real estate, and you can be successful in anything, in my opinion. There's so many different businesses you can start in America or any country, but what do you like to do? What captures your interest? I liked real estate. It was something that came to me very naturally. I like to understand if a contractor came to my house, what they were doing and how do they do it, and what the cost was, and how much materials cost, and how do they build this, and electrical, how does that work? So I kind of like that stuff already. So I had a feel for real estate and knew that I like to do it. Nobody should just get a real estate license because they're like, this is the way, this is the way that I'm going to build my legacy. Because
No.
when any business gets difficult, will you continue to do it, especially if you don't really have a real interest in it? So that's the first thing that I would say is make sure it's something that you are interested in doing. Now, I imagine there's a lot of people that's going to watch this because this podcast is about real estate and they have an interest in it. So the majority of people on this call may say, yeah, you know what? I will get my real estate license because then some of the deals that I close, I can actually list them myself, and I won't have to pay another real estate agent because that's saving money just by you listing the property yourself. Or some of the properties that I've purchased as being a real estate agent, I I purchased the property, I got seller credits to help me with closing costs, but then also I got paid a commission as the real estate agent. So if you're going to be buying properties, if you're going to be selling properties, it probably makes sense for you to get your real estate license because you could be the agent as a part of that deal as well.
Aziz, for the person who has that full-time job, is looking to, let's just say, get started in real estate. They know they want to do real estate, right? So they're just trying to get that first deal. and they're thinking about maybe getting their license instead, or their license to help facilitate that process. Walk us through the pros and cons of getting your license as a real estate investor versus not having your license as a real estate investor if you have that W-2 job.
Well, I guess the pros and the cons of you say versus you being an investor, having your real estate license versus being an investor not having a real estate license, correct?
Yes.
So that's kind of one of the things that I mentioned there is okay, yes, you can get paid a commission on the deal as well if you are a real estate agent. Now, some properties they'll say if you are a real estate agent, you will not get paid a commission. Well, if I'm not getting paid a commission, then you're going to take my commission away where I'm just going to invest harder for the commission that I would have received. I don't care if you pay me a commission or not. I'm still knowing what my commission should have been and what you would have paid another realtor. So I'm going to invest that into the deal. One way or another, I'm going to get that money. One way or another, right? So that's a leverage right there. The other leverage is that you don't have to wait for a real estate agent in order to go see properties, right? You can just go when you want to go. You can get the lockbox code. You can call the other real estate agent, and you can just go when you want to go because as investors, especially if you are a newer investor, and I will say this in just complete transparency, newer investors that are looking for the property, the right property, the needle in the haystack, you will probably go through a lot of real estate agents because they're going to get burnt out. They're going to be like, well, you're looking for something that's very difficult to find. Just call me when you find something. I'll set you up on MLS, set you up on a search. But like, especially if you're going to be the investor that lowballs properties, right? And that's okay because you're looking for the one that will accept the offer, and that's fine. But as a real estate agent, are you going to find a real estate agent that's going to be really dedicated to your search and your lowballing properties? Probably not. So you probably want to go ahead and get your real estate license so that you have that free will to submit those offers, to go see those properties, and you're not waiting on someone else because now at that point you're putting your money in an agent's or multiple agents' hands, right? But it's still good to build a network as well of real estate agents, and somebody will think about you and say, "Oh, I got something for you." Maybe they'll send it to you, so you can do that with or without the license. But there are some advantages of having a license and not having to wait on someone because time can be money, right? So vice versa. On the other side, that's the con, right? If you don't have your license, then now you can't get paid the commission. Now you have to wait on a realtor. Now you have to wait for another realtor to write your contracts, etc. Having access to the MLS is good. But a lot of properties that's on the MLS you can find on realtor.com, Truly, Zillow, etc. But we do have properties that sometimes go into a private listing network that we might find there as well. Another pro of being a real estate agent, a licensed real estate agent, and an investor, right? Potentially you may be doing wholesale, right? That's another level of investing, different niche of investing, right? And you may be doing wholesaling. Well, it's good to, in some states, require you to be a licensed real estate agent as well. That's another thing. But also, it's good because you may come across someone who may not want to wholesale their property, even if you don't have to be licensed in your state. Maybe they don't want to wholesale the property, but now you can take them down the traditional route and then earn a commission by selling them a home that way as well. So, I see more pros to being a real estate agent than cons, but I guess the con could be if you're going to have your real estate license and you join a board and you have to pay those MLS dues, that it could cost you some money if you're not actually making money as being a realtor in some form or fashion. It could turn into a expense
Yeah.
versus it being a profit.
And Aziz, I think the other thing that could be a con that you kind of alluded to from yourself is like people don't necessarily want to spend their time driving around other clients looking at properties. So talk to us about that because the math that I think we have for you is like 18 years in real estate, 8 years as kind of a realtor. So there was 10 years where you were investing in real estate without kind of having your license and navigating that. So talk us through that from a pro and con standpoint. If you are going to work with other people, obviously it's great if you can make money on some, another deal that's not necessarily yours, or you're representing kind of another client. But can that distract you? Where now you're spending your time, again, invested with someone else who has their criteria, and you're driving around looking at properties for this person, as opposed to maybe investing that time looking for the deal that helps you.
Yeah, yeah. So, um, my experience with that, like I said, if you're on the buy side and a realtor is busy, they're gonna put their time where it makes more sense. The priority, right? If you're looking for a 60K property, needle in a haystack, you got somebody else looking for a 300K property, and where are you gonna put your time at? This deal will likely close quicker, easier to close. 15, 20 properties on market that they can actually purchase versus the needle in the haystack. The realtor is going to work with what makes more sense for their time, because realtors don't get paid by the hour or by the showing. They're getting paid by the deal that's closed. Um, so that's one side of it. And then what was your other question? You had another piece to that question.
Yeah, just working with the investors and making sure you don't get maybe distracted, I guess, because now you're kind of spending a lot of time working with other clients. They don't even have to be investors, it could be people buying houses. But if you have your license, how do you make sure that you're focusing on, again, building your business, building your portfolio, as opposed to just working with, and not, I shouldn't say as opposed to, because I mean, even for you, the brokerage, you've grown it and built this nice business out of that. So I guess, how do you balance that? How do you look at that to say, hey, you're an investor and maybe you got your license because you want to find properties for yourself, but there's a whole other aspect of, being a real
Of
estate
the
agent or
actual
realtor.
being a real estate
Yeah.
agent. Okay, so well, it merges together in a sense, right? Because if you are working with clients that are buying first time buyers, etc., right? And they're just buying a turnkey home where they can just move in, right? But then you're an investor yourself, right? You're going to be out looking for properties for yourself, because that's what holds your interest, as well as you being an investor, right? You're not going to forget about that piece, right? Results go, or is it? Results show where attention goes. If your goal is to invest, you're gonna have yourself set up on a search, just like you have your client set up on a search. You are your client at that point, right? So you're going to be aware of what properties pop up, and you're going to be your primary investor at that point. So something may pop up. You might have another investor that might want it, but you want it more. So you're gonna go get that property. You're not gonna blast it out to, them, if they're not already set up on a search. You're gonna go get that property because you're an investor as well, and you might want that property. But properties that you don't want, but you're like, hey, might be a good deal for someone. Where I have a list of people that are investors, um, that looking for properties they can flip pretty cheaply, or and you'll send those properties over to them. But it goes hand in hand. I don't think it's something that you have to force yourself to do. You will make time for it, to say, all right, the same way you schedule a client, they want to see a house, you schedule them. Okay, they can go on Monday at 10 a.m. Okay, here's a property I like. After I go see this property, I'm going to see the property I want, and I'm scheduling myself in to go at
Mhm.
12 p.m. So I don't think you have to fight that battle if that's something that you really want to do. Is maintain that investment part of your business and grow your portfolio.
And you've become a top producing realtor in the Chicagoland area. What are some of the challenges you had to overcome to make that happen?
Man, really, and I think this is in any business too, because I coach in other businesses as well, because they all correlate. And really, it's you can run into self-doubt, confidence, man, can I do this? You start questioning yourself. Like, you can be they say your worst enemy is the enemy,
Right.
right? Um, you could find yourself procrastinating, not having discipline, not being persistent, not being consistent. You definitely want to learn your craft, right? That's going to be really the biggest obstacle. Uh, and that's why I go back to, do you like real estate? Because, like, would you do this if you weren't getting paid? Would this still be kind of somewhat of a hobby if you weren't getting paid for it, right? Like I would still be in some form of fashion in real estate. If I wasn't a real estate agent, I would probably be maybe in contracting or design or architecture, or I would be doing something along the lines of real estate. If nothing else, I'll be sitting at home watching a real estate TV show, right? But I would be doing like, do you, would you, are you interested in even watching things about, do you YouTube it? Like, or would you YouTube a basketball game or a baseball game or boxing match? Like, what are you going to first? If you're not like digging into it, wondering how loans and stuff work, if you're not digging into that, then when things get hard, you're naturally going to go to something else to entertain you, right? Because that's what we do when we're not being productive. We're looking for something to entertain us. So when we're not having the consistency and the discipline, we're looking for something to entertain us. It would be great if real estate is what entertains you.
You know, Aziz, I want to say what you said a little bit differently because I think it's amazing. Actually, I'm not going to say what you said, but what you did get at was, do you love real estate? And if you love real estate, then you're going to find ways to invest. You're going to find ways to make this thing work and to overcome whatever challenges you face. And that's helped you become a top producer. I also would say to people that it's okay if you don't love real estate and you just like the perks that come from real estate. And that's one of the reasons I tell people all the time that you may want to consider passively investing before building up and becoming a landlord and buying your own properties, because you should figure out how much do you actually like the real estate part. If you really just want a little bit of cash flow, passive income, the appreciation potential, the tax benefits, the diversification, you can invest passively with groups like ours in these kind of deals, or you could be a private lender on, maybe an investor that like Aziz has. But there are ways to invest in real estate without taking on the active role and being responsible for everything. So if you don't love it, it's okay. You can still make money in it. But if you do love it and you want to be active and you want to be hands on, that's great too. But be honest with yourself. Don't go into it and realize you really don't care, but now you've got to drag yourself to the property to deal with an issue, and now it's a burden, and now you're talking about how you wish you didn't own this property or real estate sucks or whatever. It's not that. It's that you didn't have the right energy to take advantage of the opportunities, and you weren't being honest with yourself and what you really wanted to do. So just take inventory. You just listen to yourself, listen to what Aziz just talked about. If you love it, if you were, your pastime is watching HGTV and you just can't, spend enough time on bigger pockets or listening to podcasts, whatever, great, go all in. But if that's just something you're doing to educate yourself and you have other things you want to do, consider other ways to invest. And then you can continue to challenge that. If you grow that passion and want to do it more, great. Just like Aziz. I mean, you started with, your properties, that duplex, and you started buying more properties, but it wasn't until, year 10 that you said, okay, you know what? I've been doing this for a while now. I want to go all in. I want to leave my W-2. I want to focus only on real estate. And you made that commitment. So I think a lot of times investors want results immediately, and you want to have that property, you want to have that portfolio, you want to have the income, but it takes time. And it's okay for you to develop that passion or to learn more about yourself over time, as opposed to running so fast, buying his properties and realizing that maybe this isn't something you're really passionate about to get through those tough times. Because it's great when everything is great, but when you face those tough times, that's when it's really going to test your level of passion and commitment.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, man. Because yes, if your goal is to be successful in it and be engaged and be a real estate agent and be an investor and you going out there finding properties and you going out there and being a wholesaler, yes, you gotta like it. You gotta enjoy doing it, right? You gotta have a passion for it or some level of passion for it. But yeah, if you want to just be like an investor, like, hey, like I got some people that do some fix and flips and I'm just gonna invest some money into it. Okay, that's a different story. That's just you placing your money, like if you were placing it in a CD or a mutual fund or stock, or right, you got some level of interest, but not really. But hey, I just want you to take care of the stuff over here, take care of it. Well, then at that point, it's not really necessarily having a passion for real estate, but you should have a passion for the systems and the structures and what's going on with your money when it gets over there. How good are the contractors, etc. You should be diving into the infrastructure of this system that is just revolving around real estate. Because you like Warren Buffett, he says, man, I don't invest in anything that you don't know about. So at that point, you don't have to love it, but you should know about it and know about it, very well, else you're blindly putting your money somewhere. Because every investor that you invest with, if you're a silent investor, it's not a good place to park your money just because they're buying a house.
Yeah, I love that because you're right. The point is, if you're going to invest, you still need to understand the investment. You still need to be able to identify any potential red flags. You want to understand where the risks are and how can you mitigate those risks so you can make the right investment choice. It's not just blindly throwing money because it's real estate. No, all investments have some level of risk. Real estate is no different. And to understand those operators, their business plan, the team they have, all those things are going to help you navigate it. So you still need to have some level of education to make these decisions, even if you're not that passionate about the actual construction or whatever it is with real estate. These really great points there. I know that you help coach investors and folks trying to get started, whether it be with home ownership or getting their credit together and just kind of starting to scale their portfolio. Tell us a little bit more about kind of the people you are uniquely positioned to help.
Yeah, I mean, so we can help anyone that is really looking to purchase a property. I mean, even on the commercial side. So I'm not an expert on commercial, but I have a team and I have experts in commercial, right? So we can help people there as well. And that's leverage too. There's so many different ways that you can help individuals and earn an income in real estate. It's not just one lane. It's so many different lanes, and you can partner with others and leverage and what someone else knows, and you got to have a certain insurance for commercial, and like so, but you can leverage all of that by collaboration, right? So we can help a lot of people from all walks of life. First time buyers. A lot of people don't realize that they can buy with a 580 credit score, right? So we can help individuals purchase. You don't need a 700 credit score to be able to purchase. 640 credit score, that can get you down payment assistance. If you can get down payment assistance in a combination of seller credit being negotiated, you can still, in this market today, still walk away from the deal without bringing any money to the closing table, right? Because there's down payment, there's closing costs, and then that equals funds to close, right? What you actually have to bring to the closing table. If you can get down payment assistance and you can get seller credit to cover your closing costs, then you can not bring anything, little to no money to the closing table. So it's still possible. It's just not possible to walk away with the big checks. Um, coming through as repair credits or closing credits. Um, Also, another thing people can negotiate, they forget about this. You can negotiate your price, you can negotiate your seller credits, but also you can negotiate your tax prorations as well, right? We've seen extra additional tax prorations put into place, to get some extra money back that can now go towards the funds to close. Yeah, individuals that want to buy single family, they want to buy condos, they want to buy townhomes, 2 units, 3 units, 4 units. Most people don't realize this, but it's still considered residential up to 4 units, right? Meaning you can go to a lender that can get you a 3.5% FHA loan up to 4 units. After 4 units, now it's considered a commercial loan, 5 units or plus, and now that's a different type of loan. Another thing people don't realize is a mixed use property where 51% of it is residential and 49% of it is storefront commercial is still considered residential and can still use a 3.5% FHA down payment first time buyer
Hmm.
program. It's still residential because 51% of it, of the square footage, is residential versus the 49% commercial. So we can help people get storefronts for barbershops, for beauty salons, for therapeutic health care and things of that nature. What I'm thinking, physical therapy, right? All different types of businesses. We can help them as well.
Aziz, great information, man. For folks who want to learn more, go to coachaziz.info. We will put that link in our show notes. Right now, we're going to go to our round of insights. Ready? All right. Give
Yeah,
me a
ready.
failure or an apparent failure that sets you up for later success.
Failure or apparent failure that set me up for success. Um, I got a couple probably. So when I quit my job, because I quit my 9 to 5 job, and I quit my 9 to 5 because I had actually got another promotion, and they gave me the 2 cell phones, I got the laptops now and all of that, right? And it actually crushed my business because I didn't have time anymore. So when I left my job, I kind of left when my business was at a low, and it appeared that I was failing because, like, all of a sudden I'm like, I don't have a job, my business is not coming in because it kind of tanked. I'm trying to regroup and gain this back, and I was this close, having those second thoughts. That's what I say, the enemy is the enemy, right? And I was this close to actually door dashing and trying to do Uber, and something just hit me, and it's just like, man, what are you doing, bro? What this is what you quit your job for, to be a piece of man, right? That's what I said to myself. No offense to anybody at DoorDashes, right? But this is just me talking to me, right? And that wasn't my standard. And I just doubled down, and I hit up everybody in my phone that day, and Facebook, everything. And then I ended up picking up 2 buyers. So I said, that's when I came up with the term and phrase or mantra or whatever, theory or whatever, is that when things get bad, you have to put in double the work. Don't retreat. Dig in 2 times as much, right? And just go harder, and you'll pull yourself out of the mud.
Love it, man. Give me a digital or mobile resource you recommend for your business.
A digital or mobile resource: Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. It's all free advertising, but Google and YouTube, man, are great sources for information. So I use Google and Facebook and YouTube a lot as resources. And one other thing I was saying, man, this is great. This is really great to have. I forgot what it was. It was my calculator, my mortgage calculator. It was another thing. I just said this last week. I can't remember exactly what I said. I said, man, they have no idea how good or how much people use this, but I would say Google, YouTube, and social media.
Give me the book you've recommended or gifted the most in the last year.
In the last year, I haven't really gifted any books. I got a couple books here though. This is The Plan, Rico McCambry. I got Untrapped. I got Building an Empire by Brian Carruthers. Think and Grow Rich, that's in the other room. But Think and Grow Rich was a book that was a turning point for me. And I read that book probably around the age of 22, 23, 24 years old. And that was really a turning point. I do a lot of audiobooks now. And I listen to a lot of audiobooks on YouTube. They got free audiobooks. So I listen to a lot of audio there.
All right. Give me the habit or a daily habit that helps you stay focused on your goals.
A daily habit. I've pretty much gotten into some really good habits over time that you have to set new habits, because you just do it for so long, it becomes natural, where other people might have to make themselves do things. But I prospect. Prospecting is a daily habit. Reaching out to people, building, making connections. See who needs my services, who needs what I have, right? Because you got to let people know you exist. So I would say prospecting, and then making sure I'm just setting appointments and putting it on my calendar, right? To talk with people, to get in front of people, to go to their house and see if they want to sell, just to provide a resource. make an excuse to talk to people. That's a good habit of mine. And look, use your calendar. I use the phone in my calendar. Use your calendar, man. Like you can gauge, you can gauge your business today. You can gauge from you can see how your business looks today, and you can really gauge that on how your calendar has looked in the past. If you look at my phone every day, it's pack, appointment, 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 appointment. If you start looking forward in the week forward and your calendar is not packed, you got a problem. Like when somebody can reach you that day and you're pretty much free like several days a week and you're always accessible, like that's a problem. Anytime someone wants to set an appointment, I usually can either find a way to fit them in or really we got to push it to next week.
All right.
If you're not having to push people to next week, you're not filling up your calendar.
Aziz, what's your number one insight for real estate investing?
Number one insight for real estate investing is to buy right. If you buy wrong, there is nothing you can do to correct that. You have to buy right from the beginning. You can buy right, and the deal goes unplanned. There's more work that needs to be done than you thought when they took the walls out. They found mold or whatever, or contractors were crappy, and then you had to redo some work, or they left and you had to bring some more people, or you had more downtime than you expected. That gives you a cushion. Buy right, but if you buy wrong, you can do everything right and still lose your shirt in the deal.
That's a great tip right there. All right, let's lighten the mood, man. You are in the Chicagoland area. Give me your favorite place to grab a bite to eat.
My favorite place to grab a bite to eat. There's some nice places in Chicago, like scenery wise. You got like the Signature Room downtown, RH Crystal. I was just the RH rooftop. I was just there yesterday in Chicago. They got one in Oak Brook. But honestly, man, I'm going to pull over on Independence. I'm going to go to Maxwell's, give me a Polish.
Oh, man, I love it. Listen, Aziz, you gave some great insights, and I really appreciate you sharing your journey and just understanding what it took for you to go from being an investor, getting your license, being an agent, and then building a brokerage where you've got, 30 plus investors, or I'm sorry, 30 plus agents, working under there. I think that's just huge to see how you've been able to manage that growth. And you gave us some great insights about just, understanding the self-doubt that many people have, particularly when you're starting out or trying something new and maybe not getting the results you were hoping for. So understanding how to be mentally tough, mentally strong to continue to push through and doubling down on your efforts, making sure that you are reaching out to people, packing your calendar, and ultimately getting the results that you need. I think those are just really good insights to share, particularly if you're not getting the results you're looking for in your business. Again, if anybody wants to reach out or connect, you can go to coachaziz.info. We'll make sure we link to that in our show notes. I want to thank you again for coming on the show today, being a great guest. We look forward to talking to you soon, and stay in touch. Take care, buddy.
Thank you.